So this was my first visit to Tuvalu, and from the air it first looked calm, serene and picturesque. Hi everyone, we've landed on Funafuti International Airport on Tuvalu. It's the first time I've been here. I have to say my first impressions when I saw the island from air was it just looked like small dots in a strip. It did not look safe, and the runway was very short, and I looked around and one of the passengers says, "Don't worry, you've got ocean on all sides." Tuvalu literally means 8 islands standing together as one. The population on the main island of Funafuti has increased by 150% in the last 10 years to 6,000 people as some of the outer islands become uninhabitable. The young people use the airport runway as their playground due to limited space. So the catch cry of the Paris 2015 meeting was, if you save Tuvalu, you save the world. Look at this. This is why Tuvalu is known as one of the frontline states of climate change. We've got high tide just meters away from the main road, and it's not even a king tide. And you've got the lagoon on this side, and people here looking to fight to protect their home. The government's climate change unit is a small and under-resourced unit. It deals with all matters, including international negotiations.
What would you like New Zealand to do? I mean, if you had a shopping list for New Zealand, what would that be?
New Zealand is very kind so far in providing the pact to allow 75 people from Tuvalu to move to New Zealand. What New Zealand could be also do to further support Tuvalu is to increase the quota and also some flexibility in terms of the criteria to allow for people who are displaced by climate change to have a place in New Zealand.
The sea level rise and coastal erosion is constant with every incoming tide. Its impact is day to day, every day. What you see here is sand being sucked from the lagoon to fill 5-ton bags, which are then placed along the seashore to act as a wall to prevent erosion. This is a shallow burrow pit left over from a number of burrow pits which were created by the Americans when they dug up the middle of the islands to lay a runway for their aircraft during World War II. After these pits were filled in with sand, there was more space for houses, and the children had a small playground.
During those times before they were filled, they were full of rubbish. You know, they were in times of when there's high tide. It's difficult for kids. You see, there are families on my left-hand side who live on the other side of the pit. They will even find it difficult to send their kids to school when it's high tide in the morning, when kids are supposed to go to school.
And yes, we see climate change happening. I met with the Tuvalu Climate Action Network, who challenged me on how serious New Zealand's commitment was to fighting climate change. They also taught me why it was difficult for many Tuvaluans to abandon their beloved country.
The word that we use for the land is whenua or whanua, and that's the same word we use for the placenta of a mother. So after giving birth to a child, that placenta needs to be buried. That's part of our custom, and put a coconut tree on top of it. And that literally shows our connection between us and our land.
My meeting with the youth and young adults of Tuvalu was a learning experience. I heard from them about their dreams and aspirations for their future. I felt their frustration and anger towards industrial nations. They shared their strength and determination to protect their beloved country from climate change. And they weren't happy with New Zealand's stance at the Paris meeting, and they want to hold the international community accountable for their fossil fuel emissions.
You went to Paris.
Yes.
You've come back home here. Is anything happening?
Well, personally for me, there's nothing happened, because what we hope to achieve at Paris didn't achieve. For example, like the 1.5 degrees Celsius, and the loss and damage wasn't included in the legally binding agreement.
So while the world patted itself on the back after the Paris Agreement, Tuvalu continues to fight off the continual erosion by dredging its lagoon and building seawalls. The Prime Minister of Tuvalu has been a strong voice on the global scene, fighting against the tide of overwhelming odds against him. Tuvalu has a right to life, he said.
All those countries, they are friends of Tuvalu, who are sitting in the board of the Green Climate Fund to please. There is an element of urgency to get access to this funding, climate change funding, so we can help protect and save the lives and livelihoods of people of Tuvalu, and I'm sure of other small island countries in the Pacific.
We're about to leave, and my impressions are, when I first looked down on Tuvalu from the plane, it looked unsafe, it looked fragile, and now having been here for the last 3 days, it absolutely is a fragile island. It absolutely is an island that is at the front line of climate change.